Welcome to the Back in Time podcast with Kyle and JD, where every week we jump into our DeLorean, cruise to 88 miles per hour, and travel back in time to review our favorite films. Every week we talk about current cinema, the latest trailers, and we pick a new favorite film every single episode.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts!
Don't say that! Never say that! Goonies never say die!
We're the best, we're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Autry, and his co-host, JD. Welcome back to the Back in Time podcast. I am your host, Kyle Autry, joined as always by my co-host, JD. JD, how are you tonight?
I'm feeling like I have a little bit of deja vu going on. I feel like we've done this 3 times already, and this was your least energetic of the times, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it's probably because it was the 3rd time.
Oh, and I'm not going to ask you how you're doing this time, because I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, I totally understand. As usual, a little bit of technical difficulties to start the podcast. You would think at this point, I mean, we've been doing this for going on a year and a half, probably about 175 episodes. Still have issues. Very strange.
User ear. I blame you.
I blame myself. Now, JD, let's talk about the reason we're here. We're discussing the 1993 comedy drama film. Give me your best Yoo-hoo and a Mrs. Doubtfire voice, please. It's finally here. We are talking about Mrs. Doubtfire. Before we dive into the fun that is Mrs. Doubtfire, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to our show. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, CastBox, YouTube. That is the best way to help support the show. Make sure you drop us a 5-star review. JD, what are your first memories of watching Mrs. Doubtfire?
This was a one that I definitely caught on VHS, and it was either at a friend's house or during a sleepover, maybe with my grandfather, because he used to love renting movies, and we would always just kick it and watch anything and everything that was out. But this was a rental for me, and I loved it from the moment I set my eyes on Robin Williams' beautiful skull. That's awesome. Yeah, I can vividly remember this was one of those movies that when it came out, because it was such a massive hit, that when you went to Blockbuster, it would take up the entire shelf. I mean, they just had copies and copies and copies of this tape. And that is definitely when I remember watching it for the first time, probably with my family as well. I would imagine that was like a Friday night, like a pizza and a movie. Ooh, pizza and movie nights.
I always loved pizza and movie nights. What did you have a go-to pizza when you were a little kid?
It was a little difficult because when you're a little kid, especially in Chicago, in the Chicago area, you don't have a refined palate to pizza the way that your parents do. Sure. So they want to do something like a good thin crust or a good deep dish. And then as a kid, you're just like, let's do Little Caesars because you're stupid and you don't know any better.
Little Caesars was my go-to when I was little. Yeah, I'd be like sausage pizza, crazy bread. Please get the crazy sauce. I still like their crazy bread and sauce. That's like a little, you know, if I'm doing like a solid cheat meal, instead of going out like someplace nice, I'll just go get some crazy bread.
I feel the same about KFC. That's my screw it.
Ooh, I do like. Have you had their Nashville hot chicken sandwich?
No, I haven't been there in a while. I owe myself a screw it meal.
Dear Lord, is that Nashville hot good? My lips are literally watering right now. Just thinking about a chicken sandwich. Yeah, so I think our memories are pretty similar. Now, let's go ahead and fire up the trailer. So if you have computer access or you can pull it up on the app here, get into YouTube, type in Mrs. Doubtfire trailer, and you're looking for the one titled Mrs. Doubtfire trailer, uploaded by Mrs. Doubtfire trailer. Didn't get any easier than that this week. I'll give a 3, 2, 1 click countdown, and we can watch this thing together. JD, are you ready?
Yes!
Ooh, that was brutal. 3.
Well, just watch some other effing trailer.
All right, here we go. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
His marriage is ending.
My marriage is not ending, just on hiatus.
To put his family back together, Daniel Hillard needed a job.
Do you have any special skills?
I do voices. Yeah!
Nancy and I are still looking for the other half of my head.
Look at me right now, Moneypenny. I want to undo that bow and get to know you.
Mr. Hillard, do you consider yourself humorous?
I used to.
And a decent home for his kids.
How do you like it?
Can't you just tell Mom you're sorry?
But he found a way.
I'm placing an ad for a housekeeper.
Housekeeper? Could you make me a woman?
To have both.
Wow.
Let's pray.
Hello? Euphegenia Doubtfire.
Papa's got a brand new bed.
He's still the same old dad. Only better.
Dinner is served, madam.
I'd love to get reacquainted.
Can't you see the lust in that man's eyes?
Accent's a little kind of muddled there.
Really? Well, so's your tan.
The terrorists they ran that way. It was a run by fruiting.
This holiday season,
Surprise!
Robin Williams, Sally Field,
Who needs a husband when I've got you?
in a Chris Columbus film,
Back off!
Mrs. Doubtfire.
God, it's hot in here.
A father's work is never done.
Oh! My first day as a woman. I'm getting hot flashes.
JD, start us off. What'd you think of the trailer?
You noticed, audience, we watched this trailer in real time, and I can hear Kyle laughing and giggling the entire time. He may have noticed that I didn't really laugh once.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm so accustomed to this movie and I've seen it so many times that watching the trailer just makes me want to watch the movie. And in watching the clips, I'm just like, okay, well, let's get to the part where this happens or where that happens, and let's see this comedy and that comedy, because there's so much nuance to this film and to this story that I think the trailer sort of paints a much more slapstick comedy to it than I think it deserves.
It definitely plays on the humor, but I just love this movie so much. All the characters are fantastic. His brother in our archives, Independence Day, David. Now he's here as the brother. He's making his big brother a woman. And then you've got Pierce Bronson, 007. It was a drive-by fluting. Just gets cracked in the back of the head.
I
Gosh,
love that part.
it's so awesome. I can't wait to watch the whole movie. Yeah, even just that 2 minutes, like I'm ready to go sit down for 2 hours now.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour movie too.
Yeah, very good movie. Now let's dive into the box office numbers. Talk a little bit about how the movie performed in theater. So, Mrs. Doubtfire debuted at the box office on November 24th, 1993. The film was distributed by Fox with a runtime of 125 minutes. So 2 hours and 5 minutes for those following along at home. On a production budget of $25 million. Opening weekend, Mrs. Doubtfire was number one at the box office, bringing in $20.5 million, and would repeat as the number one movie in America week 2 with another 14.7 over the weekend, bringing their 10-day total to $46.7 million. JD, thoughts on the first 10 days?
Going back-to-back number one like that for Mrs. D is definitely a big win. And I think it only gets better for them.
That was definitely a drive-by fruiting at the box office. So they killed it. Yeah, almost doubled the budget in 2 weeks. Do you think the schoolyard effect was in play here?
Oh, I think it was.
You would be correct, sir. So they would actually finish either first or second at the box office for 11 consecutive weeks. They were number one 5 times. And then Mrs. Doubtfire stayed in the top 10 for 17 weeks. Domestically, the film would gross $219 million. Internationally, they killed it as well, $222 million, bringing the worldwide total to $441,286,195. JD, thoughts on the final numbers there?
That will buy you the big bucket at KFC, that for sure, and you can get 3 sides.
Ooh, 3?
Yeah,
okay.
You can do 3 sides and extra biscuits.
Quick, I'm going green beans, macaroni and cheese, potato wedges. Done. Boom.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. All carbs.
And I bet you're an extra biscuit kind of guy too.
Biscuit with honey.
How many? 1 or 2?
Biscuits?
3?
Jeez. I mean, if it's unlimited, I may go all day. No, I mean 1 or 2 for sure. It's about 4 packets of honey. Kind of small. You get two on each biscuit.
Yeah, and get 1 on each cheek of the mouth and just scarf them down.
Yep. Wash it down with a nice Mountain Dew.
Loving it.
Okay.
Wait, wrong restaurant.
I'm loving. Wait, take it back to that Kit Kat bar. Can't remember.
Football cream.
Don't help him. So Mrs. Doubtfire was the number 2 highest grossing movie in 1993. What film beat it out, JD?
Dances with Wolves.
You son of a bitch. Give me a real guess.
The Pelican Brief. I have no idea. 93. I know Curtis Conway was drafted to the Chicago Bears out of USC, but I don't know the number 1.
Jurassic Park, man. In our archives. First movie we ever did.
I thought that was 94.
Nope. 93.
Yeah, well.
Number 3 movie that year was The Fugitive. Do you think we'll ever cover The Fugitive?
Maybe an episode like 400? The Fugitive's a good movie.
You know what? I don't know if I've ever... I think I watched it probably in 94 or 93 on VHS with my dad. I have not watched it since.
Do you do a decent Harrison Ford?
No, I don't think I do.
Where's my daughter? It's the one-armed man.
He's so nonchalant. I love watching his interviews on YouTube with people. Because he just does not want to be there and doesn't want to answer any question.
Well, doesn't he
nice.
suffers from like pretty severe like social anxiety, doesn't he? And he just hates those situations.
I'm sure a lot of actors do. I mean, listen, if you're an actor and you can literally cry on the spot, you fucked up. There's something wrong with you. You should not be able to just cry on the spot. So these guys, yeah, I bet a lot of them have some issues.
Ooh, daddy issues.
Yeah, who knows? Let's talk about the top 10 movies of the week. Let's talk about the top 10 movies of the week for November 24th, 1993. Number 1 was Mrs. Doubtfire. We talked about that. Number 2, Addams Family Values. Definitely a future episode. Number 3, A Perfect World. Number 4, The Three Musketeers. Number 5, Carlito's Way. I remember my dad having that on VHS. He liked that movie. Number 6, My Life. Number 7, We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. Number 8, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Number 9, Man's Best Friend. And number 10, The Piano. JD, any standouts for you in the top 10?
Carlito's Way is a great movie. And honestly, if it's streaming tomorrow, that might be what I do during my day. I might be watching that because I haven't seen that in a while. I don't remember Nightmare Before Christmas coming out in 1993, though.
Yeah, it was in week 7.
Huh. Are you a fan of that?
Not really.
I've seen it once, maybe twice, and I know it's a cult classic type of a movie where it has the following. Just didn't really do it for me.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I'm post Batman Returns. I'm not much of a Tim Burton fan. Pre-Batman Returns, loved everything he did. Yeah, the only standout for me really is Addams Family Values. I love that movie. That's about it, though. Kind of a weak, kind of a bummer at the box office that week. I would not get in the DeLorean to go back in time and watch these movies.
I am a fan of Addams Family Values, though, and the whole Thanksgiving shtick that they got going on in there. And That's my yearly Thanksgiving message that I send to people is, I'm a turkey, stuff me, or whatever he says.
They're singing the turkey song, and then it's just Pugsley going, "Eat me!
Eat me, that's what not stuff me. What do I got in my mind?
Yeah, I love that movie. We're doing that this year for Thanksgiving. It's on the list.
We debate it every year, so it's finally happening.
It's gonna happen. Let's talk about the critic and audience response to the film. We're going to use Rotten Tomatoes to gauge the response of both critic and audience. JD, how do you think the critics received Mrs. Doubtfire?
Okay, I've got a number in my mind, and it's just a heart-throbbing answer. And the reason why I'm coming to the certain number, and it's sticking there, sticking to my ribs. We've got an interesting premise. We've got a great soundtrack, and we've got a stellar cast. It comes out at the perfect time. It's a pre-Christmas movie, 1993. Robin Williams is just gangbusters. There's really not much to dislike about this movie, and I don't think that that's going to equate to some like 80 or 90 score, so I'm thinking something in the 70s where, you could like it, but it's not... I don't think Mrs. Doubtfire is anybody's favorite movie. Unless I'm wrong, audience, tweet me at Unjust Justin. If this is like your ultimate, this is your deserted island movie, I'm sorry, but I don't think so. And to me, this comes at 75%.
Damn, good guess. 71 from the critics, 77 from the audience. So you're pretty much dead on with both. Very well done. So let's hear from a couple of the critics here. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4 and said the film is not as amusing as the premise, and there were long stretches where I'd had enough of Mrs. Doubtfire. JD, what do you think?
I listened to that, and I think he had the hots for Mrs. Doubtfire, and he was a little bit dejected that, Mrs. Doubtfire had the sausage swing. I said sausage swing. That happened.
That's got to be a t-shirt. Check out my sausage swing.
We haven't made a new t-shirt in a while. It's been a good few episodes now. Check out my sausage swing is definitely a t-shirt.
You can actually go over to checkoutemysausageswing.com. Use promo code sausage. It's not a real thing. We should have that website, though. That'd be a good idea. Let's hear from another critic. No, you know what? Real quick, before I move on, who would have thought last week we did Ready the Rumble that Roger Ebert would like Mrs. Doubtfire only slightly better than Ready to Rumble, which he gave 2 stars. That's a little crazy, right?
That's the beauty part of the cinema. It affects your mood and your judgment based on where you are in life and where you are during that day, where you can find something funny or enduring that you might not find enjoyable tomorrow. Maybe he was just in a good wrestling mood that day. Maybe he's just in a bad cross-dresser mood when he watched this. I really think he has the hots for her. Him?
We'll never know. Rita Kempley of the Washington Post was very positive about the film and said, "You will laugh till your ribs ache. Not because director Chris Columbus of the Home Alone movies has a gift for farce, which he does, but because Williams is too funny. What the Energizer Bunny is to batteries, he keeps going and going and going." I love that review. What'd you think?
That sort of encapsulates Robin Williams' career in a nutshell. Because his comedy is so right on and so like a hammer to a nail. And he gives one great impression and he follows it up with another and then another. It's never just one shtick. He packages it together and just gives the audience what they want time and time again.
Yeah, I love the part in the trailer where she's like, "I'm sorry, do you think you're actually funny?" He's like, "I used to." After he's just done all these impressions. JD, what are you looking forward to most when we dive into the full review in a couple days?
It's definitely listening to him say hello in only a way that Robin Williams could, that comes out like this. Hello! Or, maybe a little bit better on his end. I love that. I break out into that just randomly. It's to me, it's iconic at the same level and probably a greater level than the episode of Seinfeld where they do hello, la la la.
Yeah, and Robin Williams to me is in that category along with a John Candy, that somebody that could make you laugh so hard, and then in the snap of a finger could get really serious and also make you cry. Like, he's got that type of power. So that's what I look forward to, is just his brilliant performance in this movie. I feel like he was so underrated. Like, the fact that he didn't win some type of award for movies like this. I know he did with like the serious movies, but like I think it's harder to be funny, and also, the drama of this movie is underplayed, especially in the trailer, like you pointed out.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you bring the comparison to John Candy with both of their performance and their delivery and the spectrum that they're able to act. And this is a very heartfelt, sad movie in many regards. I mean, it's a fantastic premise, and it's, one that I think a lot of, maybe you can't relate to it because most kids don't have their dad dress up as an 80-year-old woman to babysit them. But the whole broken home conundrum is something that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Dude looks like a lady. Yep. Thank you guys for downloading the episode today. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, CastBox. All full episodes are up on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Make sure you hit that button so you get all of our new episodes go right into your sub box on YouTube. We are on social media at backintimepod. And I'm at kautry29. JD's at unjustjustin. He'll be burping throughout the week. But we're out of time. Time to get back into the DeLorean, punch in today's date, and return back to present day. Thanks for listening. Talk to you in a couple days. See ya.
Carl looks like a lady.